Hi folks, and welcome back to Danny Sanger Official and to the Mindset Mastery series. Just as a reminder, if you haven't done so already, please do hit subscribe for the channel. As you're watching the episodes as well, please do like the videos so that I can get feedback in terms of you enjoying the content that I'm sharing. And also, if you've got any specific questions or comments to share with me, please use the comments box below. Add your question or comment and I will respond back accordingly. If there's anything more specific that you want to work on, which just needs that extra bit of clarification in addition to what I'm sharing via these episodes, then feel free to reach out via my website, dannysanger.com. Have a look at the online booking system, find an available slot with me, and then catch up with me for 30 minutes to just get that conversation going and help you with your specific query. So, in terms of today's episode, we will be talking about that dilemma of getting or maintaining the focus that we need when we need to get things done versus the distractions that can often get in our ways. So, that's the theme or topic for today's episode. Enjoy. Okay, so yes, staying focused despite the distractions that often arise as we try and get on with getting the task at hand done. So hopefully, we do have sort of tips and techniques that we have incorporated along the way to help us overcome these types of challenges. But from my perspective and a share here, which hopefully should help support you in getting those activities done with as few or as little by way of distraction as possible, then my recommendations here are firstly, you've got to plan ahead. Planning is key just to understand what the task is that you're looking to get accomplished, and then looking at that more holistically and understanding what else is going around the same time, in essence, as you getting that work done. So, effectively, looking at those risks that could occur in terms of specific distractions that are likely to happen whilst you're getting that work done, and then looking at a plan of action to mitigate those risks, if you like, to help avoid those distractions from cropping up in the first place. So, one practical example I've got here is with my own experiences in the office environment in the workplace is to specifically allocate a focused window of time for getting specific beg your pardon, tasks done, and to then effectively ring fence that time for just that piece of activity and look at what else might otherwise crop up by way of a distraction. So when I've got my email utility open on screen, I know that any new emails coming through, the notifications are going to distract me. I may end up starting to look at the email, and then the email might require a response, and I get distracted and start to then follow up on the action required from the email. And before I know it, it's kind of however many minutes or maybe even hours that have passed, unfortunately, and the specific task I needed to get done just hasn't happened. So I know that one way that I've achieved getting that particular distraction out of the way is to either just switch off the notification so that I don't get any email alerts pop up. So pretty much just hide them, or better still, for the sake of that 1 hour, maybe 90-minute window of time, if I know I'm not expecting anything else urgent to land on my desk or to come through via an email, for example, then I will just switch my email facility off. So I just literally close down the Outlook application, for example. And that way I know there's nothing that's going to crop up by way of an email to distract me and get in the way of getting my work done. So that's one tick box for me when I'm planning ahead, looking at what it is that I'm trying to get accomplished, work out how much time I need to get that done realistically, and then look to then block out that time logistically by doing something like the email facility being switched off. And then additionally to that, and probably the bigger challenge for most of us when it comes to getting distracted, is the smartphone. So with me, I'm just as guilty or just as much of a victim when it comes to getting distracted by my smartphone. So again, when it comes to getting real focused work done and being able to give it the focus it needs to deliver and provide the output to the level of quality required as well, for the sake of that 60 minutes or 90 minutes, whatever it is that needs your focused time to give to this particular activity, I switch my phone onto airplane mode. Or I at least shut down and switch off the notifications for certain applications that I know I don't need to be disturbed by. If I do still expect certain phone calls and what have you, I can just effectively close down elements of my phone so that only those aspects of the phone will continue to function. So whether I still accept incoming calls, but I just switch all other notifications off completely for the sake of that 60 minutes or 90 minutes, and therefore avoid getting distracted. So that's kind of a practical approach to how to effectively manage distractions that may arise. And another key element of that is also if you have others that around you would otherwise expect some communication from you or are otherwise unaware that you might be busy, and if sometimes it is that someone's trying to reach you and then they panic and worry that they can't get hold of you. I don't know if you've had that kind of an experience before as well. So if you know you've got a piece of work to do and you understand the impacts of you getting that work done on others around you, you could then alert them ahead of time as well to let them know that during this particular window of time, I'm not going to be available. But if there's anything urgent, then obviously please reach out. Otherwise, I will get back to you outside of that particular window. So these are just simple tools and techniques. There's so much more to go through from a practical perspective, but essentially it's the planning, and then it's turning those distractions off, identifying what those distractions could be, and then switching them off. And if there's anything else in terms of just the way you plan and set out the rest of your day as well. So if it's not just something particular by way of a task, but just handling distractions, smartphone I will continue to just talk about for the first instance here, because that has and it's a common underlying root cause for the anxieties that we often feel, because we are constantly on the go. We are constantly trying to achieve whatever it is that we have set out for the day at hand, and our phones have so much information that they're throwing at us constantly, from your WhatsApp messages, group chats and updates that are going on, which to be honest wouldn't really matter if you missed out on that update right there right now sort of moment in time, that you could have just come up and picked up later on in the day without it affecting you in any way whatsoever, to then other social media platforms, apps that you'll have on your phone. So there's a way of managing that as well. And if from a practical sense, is being mindful and starting to make a conscious effort to proactively check your phone. And as I just said, in terms of the approach there is to be proactive as opposed to reactive. So don't let your phone cause you to have to keep reacting to it every time there's an alert, every time there's something that buzzes. But if you can proactively decide ahead of time that you're going to check your phone at certain points in the time or access certain apps at various different times on your terms, when you know there's that space in your diary to do so, then you can manage your specific priorities at hand and then continue to actually feel that you are getting other aspects of your wider life in hand and sort of on top as well, by actively then checking your phone on your terms when it suits you. And again, creating that window of time for those types of activities. So you've got a logical start and a logical stop point. And by having that, you've got that framework to work within. You then have that sense of clarity for what you're supposed to be doing right now. And it all makes sense for what you are doing versus what you had said you would be doing within that time window. And there's a time that you've allocated for everything. So there's no reacting and jumping around from one activity to another. And if you were to sort of total up, I think the science behind this talks about requiring up to 15 minutes to get back to the task that you were previously working on following a distraction. So if you were to total up how many times you get distracted, and if every time it took you up to 15 minutes to get into that same state of flow that you would typically be in at the point that you got distracted, and you start totaling up those minutes, they become hours. And if you then look at that across the span of a month or even a year, it's a scary amount of time that's just lost, precious time that you just won't be able to get back, and lost in just this transition between activities, and unfortunately not on your terms. So just a little bit of sort of facts and science behind that as well to kind of help resonate and reinforce the messaging here. So yeah, absolutely. Start to pay more of a conscious effort when it comes to planning your time, looking at the specific activities that you need to get done, then identifying the potential distractions, whether those are more generic and general, so you start to apply these techniques for pretty much everything that you do. But in essence, look at each activity in its own merit, and then understand what specifics for that activity would be in terms of the distractions that could arise. Then work out a plan of action to avoid those distractions from cropping up. And if they do, just be mindful, be a bit more mindful of the fact that you are getting distracted, and then you question yourself, do you need to do that right now, or can it be just picked up once you've got the more immediate and pressing activity out of the way? So I hope that's been useful. I won't labor any more on that. I know there's probably more that I could have shared. Definitely there's more that I could have shared, but in terms of if there's more that you would want from the information I'm sharing, then use the comments box below, ask your question, or if you need to sort of have a specific dedicated half-hour window of time with me, please book that via my website, dannysanger.com, and then we can go through the more specifics and do some more practical work on getting you more focused and getting those distractions out of your life. Thank you very much. Hope this was useful, and until the next episode, take care.